What if your cat has been trying to tell you something every single day? Most people never notice. Every stare, every blink, every tiny habit has a meaning. At Purrcode, we decode the hidden language of cats, backed by science, inspired by instinct. Let's find out what your cat has been trying to tell you.
When your cat sits across the room and stares at you in complete silence, do you actually know what is going through their tiny mind? Yes, it can feel a bit unnerving or even creepy. But behind that intense, focused gaze, there is something profoundly beautiful that most people completely miss. And if you misunderstand this behavior, which most owners easily do, you could be misreading the absolute deepest compliments your cat is actively trying to give you. We often wrongly assume they are silently judging us or plotting against us. But the scientific reality of feline vision and cognition is so much sweeter than that. Let us start right now with what they actually see when they look your way, and why they choose to treat you so differently from everything else. 1. They do not realize you are a completely different species. When they look up at you, they do not see a regular human being at all. We naturally like to think they understand that we are their human caregivers. We assume they know we belong to a completely separate and much larger species. But their brains simply do not process us that way. To them, the boundaries between a human and a feline just do not exist in their daily lives. According to research by biologist John Bradshaw, cats treat us exactly like they treat other, much larger, non-hostile cats within their own familiar social circles. They happily rub against your legs, raise their tails, and groom your skin. These are highly intimate social behaviors reserved exclusively for their own feline kind. They are not trying to figure out what you are. They already decided long ago. If they could put it into words, it would sound exactly like this. You are just a very big, very clumsy cat in my eyes. You are terrible at hunting, but I deeply accept you and I love you anyway. And by the way, sometimes they stare at you in the dead of night when you are fast asleep. We will get into what that spooky behavior really means later. 2. Your face is basically a blur to them. We humans rely heavily on facial expressions, so we naturally assume our lovely cats do the exact same thing. You might think they are admiring your bright smile or reading your emotions by looking closely at your eyes. But that is simply not how their vision works. Anything closer than a foot or further than 20 feet is quite blurry to them. They simply do not recognize the specific details of your eyes or your nose. Instead, they clearly see your overall outline. They completely memorize the unique way you walk and move around the living room every single day of their life. They rely heavily on your specific personal scent and the comforting tone of your voice to confirm that you are indeed their favorite person in the world. If they could ever speak our human language, they would look right at you and say exactly this. I do not need to see your features clearly. My little heart and my sharp senses know exactly who you are the very moment you enter the room, and that is more than enough for me. And hey, if this is already lifting some of that indoor cat owner guilt off your shoulders, hit like and subscribe so we can reach more owners together. 3. The slow blink is actually a sign of complete surrender. When they look at you and slowly close their eyes, they are not just feeling tired. This is a deliberate and highly calculated social signal. Researchers at the University of Sussex proved that this slow blinking is the feline equivalent of a genuine smile. In the unforgiving wild, closing your eyes in the presence of a much larger predator is an extremely dangerous and foolish thing for any animal to do. So when your little cat intentionally does it while looking directly at you, it is the ultimate display of vulnerability. They are choosing to trust you completely. They are essentially telling you this deep secret. I am lowering my natural weapons, and I am choosing to drop my guard when I am around you. I trust you entirely, and I deeply know you will never use this brief moment of blindness to hurt me. Now let us talk about eye contact. 4. Breaking direct eye contact can be incredibly polite. We humans usually think that staring deeply into someone else's eyes is a strong sign of true affection. But for our cats, a prolonged and unblinking stare is almost always perceived as a direct threat or a physical challenge in their complex, natural animal world. So if your cat looks at you and then deliberately turns their head away, do not feel rejected. That is not an insult or a cold shoulder. In the feline world, showing your back or turning your gaze is actually the highest form of feline politeness. They are intentionally and actively diffusing tension. If they could translate this physical movement into our human words, they would be saying exactly this: I respect you far too much to ever challenge you. We are at peace with each other in this house. Please do not force me to stare back at you, because that makes me feel very uncomfortable. 5. Following your every single step is entirely about establishing a secure base. You might often catch them staring intensely at you from the bathroom doorway, or perhaps you always find them watching you quietly from the top of the stairs. This is not just them being nosy or trying to trip you. A landmark study from Oregon State University showed that domestic cats form incredibly secure attachments to their owners, much like the bonds seen in human babies. You literally act as their primary secure base. They constantly monitor your specific location in the house just to ensure their little world remains perfectly stable. They are not trying to invade your personal privacy at all. They just really want to say this one beautiful thing to you every single day. As long as I can clearly see you, I know that I am entirely safe. You are the strongest and most comforting anchor in my life. 6. The midnight stare is actually a crucial guard duty. This is the exact moment that I promised you at the start of this video today. And it is something every single cat owner really needs to understand. Waking up suddenly to find your cat staring directly at your face in the dark. Yes, it can absolutely feel like a scene out of a horror movie. But the biological reality behind it is the exact opposite of being creepy. In the unforgiving wild, sleep is by far the most vulnerable time for any animal. When you close your eyes, you are completely defenseless against predators. By choosing to stay awake and fiercely watch over you while you rest, they are actually performing a deeply ingrained and ancient pack behavior right now. They are voluntarily standing guard. They are actively protecting their most valuable family member during the exact hours when you physically cannot protect yourself anymore. They do not see a predator lurking in the shadows, but their ancient instincts tell them that the darkness is full of potential threats to your shared territory. By sitting completely still and scanning the dark room, they are creating an invisible shield around your bed, ensuring that absolutely nothing approaches you while you are asleep. If they had a voice, they would gently whisper this into the quiet night. Sleep peacefully and do not worry about the dark. I will watch over us. I know that you are clumsy in the dark and cannot hear as well as I do, so I am taking over the night shift for our family. This behavior was never about a cat just staring blankly at a boring bedroom wall. It was never about them judging you or secretly plotting against you tonight. It is an ancient, beautiful display of devotion. We often think of ourselves as their protectors, the ones who provide the house and carefully fill the food bowls. But in their brilliant little feline minds, that protection is completely mutual. When they look at you, they see an invaluable member of their own small, tight-knit family. Every single slow blink you receive from across the living room is a calculated act of lowering their natural defenses and inviting you into their safe personal space. Every time they politely turn their head away instead of staring you down, they are actively choosing peace and showing deep respect for your presence in the room. And every silent, unblinking watch in the dead of night is a fearless commitment to keeping you completely safe when you are at your absolute most vulnerable state. They have memorized your silhouette, your unique scent, and the comforting rhythm of your footsteps. They have mapped their entire existence around the specific routines you both share. They do not just tolerate living in your house. They actively choose to bond with you, treating you exactly like the most important cat in their entire world. So the next time your cat locks eyes with you from across the room, remember that they are not looking at a separate, strange, or fundamentally different species. They are looking at the exact center of their universe. In their bright, observant eyes, you are not just a random human roommate who occasionally opens the door. You are their entire world. You are their ultimate safety. You are their family, today, tomorrow, and for every single day of their beautiful little feline life with you.